To get started. We have had a couple of shoot, I can't see you guys. That's good. There we go. We've had a couple of weeks off due to my travel schedule, so sorry about that, but excited to get back today. And I have a quick let's see what's happening. Nope, don't want to leave the meeting. Okay. I have a quick little mindset lesson for you guys today. And this is actually one that I don't think I've shared this before, but I've had it for a while. And it was a good reminder for me actually to get back out today. Before we start, let's type one thing that we're grateful for today in the chat. So something that you are grateful for. Today, other than this, I actually have calls all day, no Zooms. So I'm like gonna give my face a rest and not put makeup on today. And I'm not gonna actually get ready today. And then I'm gonna go work on something else after this and paint. So I'm grateful for kind of a semi slow day today, which never happens to me. So that's nice. Yes, Monica, I knew somebody was going to say that. Officially being fall weather or having official fall weather. Totally love that. It feels so good. I'm in Charleston this week and it feels amazing here. It's like perfect. We actually had a fire pit last night and it felt so good. Dawn, health, yes, always such a good one. Yes, totally. I'm experiencing severe fall allergies yesterday and today. Like my eyes have been swollen and everything. I don't know. I feel like I get them in the fall more than I do even in the spring. Anybody else want to post in the chat something that you are grateful for today? You can keep posting in there. Christmas season, Abby said, starts Tuesday. I actually yesterday went and bought some plants for the outside of our house here. And like the two places that I went to, full on Christmas already decorated everywhere. Like trees are up, ornaments are out, everything. I'm like, we haven't even had Halloween yet. But yes, I love the Christmas season too. Jill, love yours. Leadership that sets great examples. That's a really good specific one. And I love that. Did you go to Louisville yesterday, Jill? Type in the chat. I heard it was a really great day. I was super bummed I couldn't be there. But I heard there was great leadership yesterday. Okay, guys. So we're going to talk about 3 things to be intentional with that will help you continue a great mindset. And these are old. Yes, she said, yes. Okay, I heard that too. I'm so glad. I can't wait to get everyone's notes. These are old John Maxwell 3 things, but very, very, very good and relevant still today, and so many great notes. So number 1 is have a great mindset. You need to be intentional in growth. And this time of year, I actually really want to focus on that even more because I think typically, I don't know about you guys, but I'm always kind of ready to slow down like once November starts and be in the holidays and be present and be in the moment and be intentional with that. Yet I'm already starting to prepare my growth plan for the next year. So John Maxwell says everything worth having is uphill. And if you've ever seen him, he always like holds his arm all the way up and he says everything worth having is uphill and no one accidentally goes uphill. The challenge is what we want is uphill. However, we all have downhill habits. So the question is, how do we be intentional with our habits and in our growth area so that we can not have downhill habits? He really challenges you to do an autopsy on our success. He said, he always says this, what got you there won't keep you there. And growth isn't automatic. So when you're going to be intentional about your growth to continue your great mindset, sometimes you have to do an autopsy on your success, meaning really what got you there? Like what has gotten you to the success that you've had? And then how can you be intentional to keep up with that? John always shares that in his 20s, he really didn't have a lot of friends. He had a growth plan. And it sounds, at first I thought that's kind of sad. And then I thought, man, no, look where that got him. He says the only guarantee that life is going to get better tomorrow is that you are growing today. And I think sometimes we think, well, we'll just hope that, we'll continue this success, or we'll just hope that tomorrow is going to be better. But really, hope isn't a strategy. I love, this is one of my favorite John Maxwell isms. You are either preparing or repairing. You're fixing yesterday for what you didn't do the day before. And so each day we have the choice to either prepare for the next day or we're repairing because we're fixing something that we didn't do the day before. So number one in continuing a great mindset is being intentional in your growth. I would challenge you guys. Some of you guys have probably experienced more success lately than maybe you ever thought you would have. Or maybe can think of a time where you did. Do an autopsy on that. What actually was it that got you there? And then how can you keep growing? Are you continuing to surround yourself with the right people? Are you continuing to get into growth-based environments and putting those things on your calendar? The second thing is being intentional about your priorities. And John always says activity isn't necessarily an accomplishment. How many of you feel like sometimes you did a million things in a day and you have no idea what you even did that day? I have those days frequently as well. So you need to know the 5 activities that you need to do daily and then consistently do them. Not all day, just daily. And John calls it the rule of 5. So it's really knowing what you want to accomplish and then having the right tools. I actually just talked about this with my coach, Terry, who some of you know, and Terry's been my coach for, gosh, I think maybe 7 years now. And I shared with her last week or week before, I think it was week before, that I just have so many opportunities right now. And there's so many great things for growth that I'm struggling with figuring out what the focus needs to be, because I want to do all of it. But the reality is there's not time to do all of it. It's going to have to be chunked in like little baby chunks. And she said, you just need to pick the 5 things. She said, just remember what John Maxwell says, you never are going to be able to accomplish more than 5 important things. So take all that list. She had me make a whole list of it and pick the 5 things. And that really, really was very helpful. And then it's just being consistent with those priorities and practicing every single day. We also need to become intentional in your significance. And John has coached for years on the difference between success versus significance. And that was a big aha for me, probably 3 or 4 years ago when I was attending an event that John had. And I never really even had heard the word significance, to be honest. But he said, but I was very much chasing success. And he said, success is all about like me, yourself, right? It's all about you. Significance is about others. And I was doing things for others, but I wasn't calling it significance, I think, because I didn't really know what that meant. So he said, when you take success and turn it into significance, that's when you're becoming really intentional with significance. And think about this. We all know a lot of successful people who really aren't fulfilled in life. You could probably think of one that might even pop into your head, even as I say that. Who maybe they've achieved a ton of success. Maybe they have what we would call a lot of wealth, but they aren't fulfilled in their life. And so John always says, you'll never meet anyone who has significance who isn't fulfilled. They might have success and not be fulfilled, but if they have significance, then they're always going to be fulfilled. And so being really intentional with that was a big goal of mine for this year, because he says we're created to add values to others. The greatest story ever written is your life before you. And so filling in the blank pages with your dreams, matters of your heart, etc. And he said, typically your story should begin with, I want to make a difference. And it might be you want to make a difference for your kids, and you want them to have better than you had, or you want to make a difference in the people that you lead, or you want to make a difference in, your friend's life or whoever. But when we're talking significance, it's all about others and making a difference for them. So not only do we want to be very intentional about our growth for our mindset, especially as we enter into the end of the year, we want to be intentional about our priorities. And I would love to actually hear in the chat, do you guys feel like you really know your priorities, or do you feel like you need to go back and do an audit of your main priorities right now? Yes or no, I would say. Do you feel like you know them, or do you feel like you really need to go back and say, okay, what the heck are my priorities? Dawn, yay, audit. Yes, same. I'm in that boat right now too. Yeah, who else? Do you guys feel like you have them down? Or do you feel like 50-50? Yeah, audit. Yeah. I think it's just very good for us to think about and be intentional about those. And I can actually honestly share, after Terry had me do that, I did feel much better because I was like, okay, these are the priorities. Stephanie said, I'm working on it now, 1 through 5 on several areas. Yeah, totally. Yep. Totally agree with that. Okay, and then the last and the third thing that you need to be intentional about right now for a great mindset is choosing to be in a growth environment. And he said, other people are ahead of me, bigger, better, more successful people than you, smarter, etc. If you are the first in your class, you're in the wrong class. Or some of you may have always heard John say, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. And we all have said that a lot too. And so and actually Adam and I just had a really good talk about this last week when I was in Dallas. And I always say this, but Adam gets nervous when I'm with Linda McKissick for a long period of time because I spend too much money and I come back with 5,000 new ideas and businesses that I want to do because we stay up all night and talk about all these millions of ideas and things we want to do and build and different ideas. And then we shop and Linda, Adam always says, I know you work really hard and I'll never want you to be deprived, but you don't have Linda money. So I always think I can spend like Linda, and then I think I can have 5 million new businesses that I want to start. And at the same time, he said to me, yet I love that you have the opportunity and that you're so close with her, because it does really make a huge difference. And just being around people that have already done it or are more successful or bigger than you or are thinking bigger. And Adam actually said last week, he said, I feel like I'm in a rut. And I said, why? And he said, because I feel like I haven't been around bigger thinkers over the last few weeks. And he said, it's really like kind of got me in a rut. And so one of his friends and mentors in GoBundance, Pat Hyben, who had, oh man, I'm totally blanking on his podcast, but it's like, wait, Dawn, we're twins. I see you. So good. Real Estate Rock Stars. Is that it? Was that the podcast? I can't think of Pat Hyben's podcast. It was a huge podcast. Anyway, Pat actually, right after Adam said that, Pat called Adam and said, hey, do you want to drive out to John's Island and have dinner tonight? And I said, Adam, see, you manifested that. You put that into existence. So you could go out and yes, Real Estate Rock Stars. Yes. Thank you, Erica. And so it was really good for Adam just because he just needed to be around a big thinker. So John says, the only stretching you will do is surround yourself with people who are bigger, better, and more successful. And so I really want to challenge you guys to think about, who are you around, or who do you need to get back around? Or maybe who do you need to, go to lunch with or dinner or spend a weekend with, or what event do you need to get to, or something where you're surrounded by people that are thinking bigger and doing bigger things than you. It's a continued challenge for sure. And however, I always feel so refreshed when I'm in that environment. John always says, get up every day and look at a mountain that has challenges. You can't coast. You have to be in the moment. It's a sad day when you aren't being challenged, because every challenge has an opportunity. And that means that you're still alive when you're facing challenges. He says, if you don't want challenges, then just die. John's a little blunt, but it's true, because that's what keeps you going. That's what keeps you alive. He always says to stay forward focused, think about being in the moment and thinking about tomorrow. And that's forward focus. You never want to be so far thinking about tomorrow that you're not in the moment, you're not present, right? But you also need to be thinking about tomorrow, because that's thinking forward. That's having forward focused thinking. Failure isn't your enemy. The question is not, did you fail? It's what did you actually learn? And so I know sometimes I talk to especially a lot of real estate business owners, a lot of realtors who are so afraid of doing new things because they're so afraid of failing. And I always say to them, if that's when you're going to learn, you have to fail, because that's when you're going to learn. The question is, can you figure out what you learned from those things? Because some of the best life lessons come from our failures, and we're always failing. We're failing forward, not backwards. And then John always says, if you don't wake up excited, then don't wake up. And I think sometimes we get off from that. And I know I do too. But if we aren't waking up excited, then don't wake up. So we need to figure out something that's going to get us excited again, if we're not waking up excited anymore. And John said, people always say, can you give me some advice? I'm tired of doing something and I'm contemplating quitting. And John, I've heard him say this so many times. He always says, then just quit. Life's too short. If you're already asking about quitting, then you've already decided, you just haven't made it official yet. And so he said, sometimes we really need to think about that, because when we're passionate about something, then that's not even in our mindset. If it's in our mindset, then we really need to think about that. Is it just that we need an attitude adjustment? Because a lot of times we need attitude adjustments, and that's normal and that's okay. And some of us have really great friends that will tell us when we need an attitude adjustment. But so is it that you may need an attitude adjustment, or is it that you've already quit in your mind and you just haven't taken the action? But being intentional about being in a growth environment, and I don't know about you guys, but sometimes when I get really burnt out or just kind of in a blah phase, I try to quickly get to at a mastermind, an event, something where I'm around other people and I'm thinking bigger, and my mind is being challenged, because it quickly gets me back into a good headspace and back into a groove. And that I don't know, that might not work for everybody, but it has really always worked for me. So we need to think about being intentional about growth in our life, intentional about our priorities. And it sounds like a lot of us, myself included, need to go back and redo an audit on our priorities. And what are the most important things? I mean, gosh, we're down to what, 60 days left in this year. It's nuts. I don't even know how it's gone that fast. But what are our main priorities? And it might not even be in work. It might be in your life. I mean, your a priority might be that you're intentional with slowing down enough to spend time with your family members through the holidays. That's been me before. I've had years where I've had to be intentional about making the time because I wanted to wrap my own Christmas presents instead of pay somebody to do it. So there are lots of things that you might have to think about your priorities and being intentional with, and then getting in a growth environment. And really, I just want you guys to think about, what is it? Yes, I love Dawn. That's so good. Challenge is a good drug. Everyone should try it. Totally agree. A good challenge is good for everybody. I totally agree with that. It's such a great way to say it. And I want to challenge you guys to think about, who are you around, and have you been in a growth environment, or do you need to get in one? Do you need to make yourself get somewhere? And then I had two quick things I wanted to close with. Diana Kokoska sent me this years ago, and I have it saved on my computer. If you realized how powerful your thoughts are, you would never think a negative thought. And I love that as a reminder, because I've shared this before, and I don't have all the doctorisms in front of me. I do have them somewhere, but I don't have them in front of me to tell you about all the things of when you think a negative thought, the neurons actually capture those and they send them throughout your brain. And it's the exact same things that addicts go through, because then they're triggered. And when you have negative thoughts, they continue to trigger and replay in your mind. And so she always has said this: if you realized how powerful your thoughts are, you would never think a negative thought again, because it does things to your brain, and you continue to think them over and over. And so I wanted to end with these affirmations, and you might want to take a screenshot of these even. Feel free to take a picture or take a screenshot of these. But I love these. And I think when we're refocusing on our mind and on our mindset and not thinking negative thoughts, just repeating these over and over again for 5 minutes, or maybe even saying them first thing in the morning and before you go to bed. And I know some of you are going to be like, oh, I've never said affirmations. I will tell you that a really good friend of mine is very into affirmations and manifesting. And he was selling something that was really important to him. And in the process of selling something really important to him, his largest asset. And for the last 2 years, he said affirmations around it every morning. And he had a number in his mind that he had manifested, and he had it like on a Post-it note on his desk. It was just a number. Nobody even knew what it meant. And in his car and everywhere else. And every day he was saying affirmations and manifesting around that number. And he finally got an offer on the asset, and it was the exact number that he has been manifesting for the last 2 years. Exact. And actually he called me freaked out over it. He was like, you are not going to believe this. But I love it. And I just said, you know what, then it's meant to be. You should have 0 reservations about it, because it was totally meant to be. So I just love these. I'm filled with love. I'm filled with joy. I'm filled with gratitude. I'm filled with positive energy, a serving heart, clarity. I'm free of anger, negative energy, unworthiness. I'm free of jealousy. I'm free of resentment. and I'm free of being scared of no matter what it is. It could be anything. But I would just challenge you guys to do this twice a day. Take it for the next week and say them in the morning and say them in the evening or at lunch or whenever you can be intentional with your schedule and your priorities. But I promise you, it'll flip your mindset in a minute if you just keep doing that over and over and over again. And I think that's it. I think that was my last one. Yep, that was it. So thanks for being on. Hope you guys have a great rest of your week and happy Wednesday. See you later.